Welcome back. France is poised to cut its troop numbers in Mali from 1,600 to 2,500 come next month. The announcement was made by President François Hollande during a visit to an air base in northern Mali. Paris, it could be recalled, played an instrumental role in an offensive that brought northern Mali of Islamic fighters. Hollande, as we hear in this report by CFI, hailed his countrymen for their accomplishments in the West African state.
François Hollande announced that France will cut its troops in Mali next month to 1,600 from the current level of 2,500. The French president met with several soldiers at the air base who had served in Mali as part of the French military mission there named Operation Serval. The mission began on January 11th of last year. France launched the military operation to repel Islamist advance following a coup. Mirage fighter planes flew from the French air base in Chad and attacked hundreds of jihadists who were trying to take control of the capital, Bamako. The French soldiers began by neutralizing the radical Islamists in the northern part of the country, then joined forces with African soldiers to successfully stop al-Qaeda-linked militants and Tuareg rebels from descending south and advancing on the capital. President Hollande praised the French troops and success of Operation Serval.
Every time I travel to other countries in Africa and elsewhere, all the heads of state and government tell me how useful our intervention was.
The French president said the situation is now under control and that key objectives of the mission have been accomplished, so the troop size will be reduced.
The troop size will be cut from 2,500 to 1,600 in the middle of February. Then it will be further reduced to 1,000 soldiers, which will be the level necessary to deal with any threat that might resurface.
The situation in the north of Mali remains volatile, like in Gao and Timbuktu, where jihadists are mixing with the population and could strike at any time. In Kidal, the Tuareg rebels of the MNLA and soldiers from the Malian army observe each other, ready to react if necessary.
The war in Syria has taken a new dimension as rebels and jihadists slug it out. Syrian rebels launched an all-out attack on jihadists last week for alleged systematic abuses and their desire to control areas no longer under the regime control. CFI has details.
Nearly a week after a new front opened in the deadly conflict gripping the country. Thursday's fighting comes a day after the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, or ISIL, was expelled from Aleppo city by rebels fighting to topple President Bashar al-Assad. The rebels launched an all-out attack on the jihadist group last week. The fighting is currently occurring in Raqqa, Idlib, and Aleppo, the three main provinces of conflict between ISIL and the rebels. The jihadists were initially welcomed by the rebels in Syria, but became hated because of systematic abuses and a bid to dominate areas no longer under control by the regime. ISIL is accused of imposing a reign of terror, including kidnappings, torture, and assassinating activists.
Today, January 8th, thank God, we have liberated the building of the ISIL, which claims that it is the Islamic State. We have found around 70 dead prisoners, including journalists and members of the FSA from all brigades and divisions.
Freed prisoners claim they were subject to various kinds of torture, including some summary executions, strangely similar to those committed by the regime itself. The jihadists chased out of Aleppo went to the city of Raqqa, their main base, where they are also losing ground. Raqqa is Syria's only provincial capital to have fallen out of regime control. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported fighting raged on Thursday in Raqqa between the jihadists and rebels.
And to news just in, a crew belonging to a company called Paradise Fishing Gambia Wednesday returned to shore with a typhoon weighing 127 kilograms. The catch is regarded as one of the biggest to be landed by any fishing crew in the history of sports fishing in the Gambia. The 2.5 meters long fish brought to the President, His Excellency, Chair Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya Jammeh, asked after its capture. Well, we hope to bring you that report by Abdunjai in our subsequent news bulletin. A blast at a chemical plant in Japan has killed at least 5 people at a time when maintenance crews are working on a heat exchanger, and Spanish police have rounded up several members of a group supporting prisoners of the Basque separatist movement. ETA is blamed for the deaths of hundreds of people in Spain. We have more on this and other developments around the world in this news roundup by CFI.
Explosion at a chemicals factory in central Japan has killed at least 5 people. The incident took place Thursday as maintenance crews were working on a heat exchanger. 170 people were working at the Mitsubishi Materials factory that produces silicone products when the blast happened. The cause of the explosion is unknown, but the factory was closed 2 years ago when a similar incident took place. Spanish police arrested 8 members of a group supporting prisoners from the armed Basque separatist group ETA. ETA is blamed for the deaths of 829 people over the past 40 years, but no one has been killed since October 2011. Over 500 members of ETA are in jail. An estimated 50 people are still active. The arrest came as a surprise since ETA is preparing to drop a demand for general amnesty and is seeking the release of members of the group through legal channels. A court in the German city of Cologne has charged an 88-year-old former member of the SS with 25 counts of murder in connection with a massacre in the village of Oradour-sur-Glane in France. The charged man, known as Werner C., was 25 years old in June 1944 when 632 residents in the village were slaughtered by German troops. The killings were carried out on the 10th of June, 4 days after the war ended. The village has been deliberately preserved as a memorial to those who died. Thailand's opposition is continuing protests demanding that Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra resign. There were demonstrations in the capital Bangkok Thursday. Further demonstrations are planned for next Monday. They will try to paralyze the country with barricades on roads in the capital. The protesters reject any compromise and the government's efforts to resolve the crisis through elections at the beginning of February.
Well, time now to take a second break. We'll be right back.
Super Savers.
It's official. 99 Bluetooths to call any telephone in the Gambia. Yes, yes, yes! It's now cheaper to call any network from your Comium phone.
99 Bluetooths to call any network. Truly the lowest in the Gambia.
Comium, making communication cheaper.
99.
99? Yes! Yes!
Comium Super Savers.
99 Bluetooths a minute. No need to look at the number you're calling. Just make sure it's your Comium phone you're calling with. Unbelievably cheaper to call with your Comium number.
Terms and conditions apply. First minute is regular rate. Any minute added enjoys this offer. One of the many reasons we say your credit lasts longer with Comium.
Comium. We are better together.
Of the news, a quick reminder of the day's headlines. WHO and the Ministry of Health have convened a national policy panel with other critical players in health as part of the drive to reduce the prevalence of malaria in pregnancy in 3 sub-Saharan countries. France has announced massive troop reductions in northern Mali more than a year since Paris launched a major offensive against Islamic fighters in the West African country. And an explosion at a chemical plant in Japan killed at least 5 people during maintenance works on a heat exchange equipment. That's all in this edition of the news. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back at 10 with another bulletin. Meanwhile, enjoy the rest of our programs.